What's going on, everybody? I'm joined with Kolton, the Assassin England. What's going on, man? How are you today?
I'm good. Just hanging out. About to go get into one more training session in for the day. How about you?
Just living the dream.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Congratulations on that big knockout at Fury FC 103.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot faster than we expected.
I mean, that's always good because you guys aren't paid, by the minute or by the hour. So, that's always good to get in and out pretty quickly, right?
Correct. Yep, you're right.
And speaking of that performance, what was that post-fight celebration of lifting up Michael in the air like that? Was that planned beforehand or just kind of in the moment?
No, it just in the moment. I wanted to kind of see. He's real good at jujitsu, and I just felt like hitting a high crotch on him, and I didn't realize that he was going to be that heavy. He feels like he's filled up with bricks.
He's a little more stout than you anticipated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe the next time, now going in, you can surprise him. Maybe not the next one, if you have another Fury fight. Speaking of that first round KO over Carlton Minus, who's a PFL and a UFC vet, you're on a pretty significant win streak. I believe it's 6 with 4 finishes in that. Just kind of talk us through, some of the fights on that win streak. Especially I believe you picked up 2 titles down in Brazil.
Yeah, yeah. So I fought Contender Series. I had a little layoff because I had a blood clot in my shoulder. So I went to Brazil and I got the blood clot removed. I went to Brazil. I needed a little bit of time to let the blood clot heal itself, Um but when I was in Brazil, they offered me a fight. I didn't plan on fighting, and then they offered me a fight on like 2 days notice if I wanted to fight a guy down there for the title. I said, yeah, sure. You know, it's different fighting in Brazil than it is fighting here. There's really no rules, no TLR, nothing's sanctioned. Put it that way. Um, I didn't need to go to weigh-ins. I just said, hey, my weight's about this, and the guy says, okay, I'm about that. So then we just showed up and we fought each other. Um, so the first one, and then I think it was like a week later, I fought the second guy, and we drove like 5 hours to that fight in Brazil, and we were with the my wife's whole family. We were all in the truck, and at the second I jumped out of the truck, they were already announcing my name to fight.
Oh,
They said
wow.
like to walk out, and I didn't have my gloves on, didn't have my shorts on, I didn't have nothing on. So then I was like, hey guys, I need some gloves. So they threw some gloves at me, and then I said, I need a bathroom to change, put my fight shorts on. They said, oh, there's no bathrooms here. They said, and so the crowd was sitting there looking at me, and I had to change right there in front of everybody. I just kind of put them on real fast, and then put the gloves on. Didn't wrap the hands, nothing. Put my gloves on, and then choke the guy out.
Well, you got some cool stories to go along with those belts as well. So, that's awesome. I didn't know about the no weigh-ins. You kind of just, kind of scouts honor it there. Like, yeah, I'd
well,
totally weigh that. Do they do like any checking, or can you kind of like,
well,
that movie where it's like, yeah, I'm 12, and like they kind of hand him the paper with the bribe or whatever. Is it kind of like that, or is it?
yeah. So they have they have events that are very very strict, and then there's events that are just kind of relaxed. You had American coming in at this part of Brazil. This is in the Amazon, so Americans normally don't travel over there. It's very hot. There's it's extremely hot there. So um, they've never seen an American. So whenever they had the idea that, oh, okay, we're gonna have an American fight on our card, they said basically all rules just shot out the window, and they're like, okay, we want to get this guy on. And the weigh-ins was very very far. So I said, hey, I'm like 165, and they were like, "Well, send a picture on the scale." And so then I sent a picture, and then they said my opponent was at the weigh-ins, and he weighed in at 165 as well. And I was like, okay, well then we could do that. That'll be good.
Okay, that's a lot better than what I was anticipating in my head. Like I just thought, it was like some text messages back and forth. Yeah, I totally weigh this much.
The second
Oh,
one was a text and said, "Hey, I'm about 175," and the other guy said, "Well, I'm about 185, 190. So let's do the fight." So I said, "Okay." That one was that one was wild. We were driving through the town, and like I said, it was a long drive. We're driving through the town. It was a ghost town, nobody there. And I was like, man, this is the town that I'm fighting in. And I was like, this is kind of weird. Is this going to be a big promotion or a small promotion? And they're like, we don't know. They just wanted you to fight on it. But when we're driving through, not a soul out in the street, not a dog, nothing. We pull up to the event, and there's hundreds of people there, and they had huge posters. I don't know how they got these posters so fast. They had huge posters with me on them and
oh
said,
wow.
"The White Assassin, the American, is fighting today," and everybody wanted to see the American fight. So it was really funny.
Kind of telling off of that, those are some short notice fights. Going forward, third path forward is it, another Fury FC title since you did have you're a former Fury FC champion, UFC, PFL, maybe RIZIN overseas somewhere, or do you already have something in the works that maybe you can kind of give us some hints about?
So, um, so what I had gotten, I'm on a 6 fight win streak, as you said. I'm coming off of 2 first round knockouts. So, I mean, that's exactly what the UFC says they want. They wanted first
Mhm.
round finishes, and then they wanted me to finish somebody, as in Carlton. They wanted me to finish somebody that was young, that had a good record. So I grabbed him. I got that fight, because that was exactly what the UFC wanted to see. And then we put him down really fast. So that was big for me. I already had an offer from PFL, and I turned it down. Um, I've had 2 offers from PFL, and I turned those down. It's just PFL is not really what I'm looking for right at this moment. I'm looking to fight in the UFC, and my dream's the UFC. Um, the paycheck was great in PFL. It was. I was gonna fight Brent Primus. He's a former world champ, and on 6 days' notice. And so I was excited about that because, man, that'd been cool. That'd been I think I would have done a number on him, but it was exciting to me. But I told myself, and I had my family and my wife tell me, hey, Colton, be patient. You're on the rise right now. The skillet's hot, and you need to wait for bigger things are gonna come. You know, yeah. But that was awesome. I'm looking to get into the UFC. Uh, I think a record of 15-4 is really, really well deserved of a UFC shot. I have a better record than most of the lightweights in the UFC. Um, and as I watch the UFC cards, I can beat a lot of the UFC guys. So I'm excited about that.
You mentioned your time on the Contender Series. Is that something, you'd like another shot at the Contender Series, or you want, a full on, just bring me on to the UFC, whether it's short notice, or, excuse me, or they just call you and say, hey, we got you an offer. Here's that, or you just honestly don't care your path forward as long as it's UFC.
Yeah, you're correct. Anything that's just UFC doesn't matter. Um, I have I don't know what like I said, we're in the talks with them right now, and uh, we should know something very soon, very very soon. And I'm just staying really ready right now. My weight's very low. I'm like 174 right now, which is very odd. I'm normally walk at 200, so I'm normally very heavy. Um, but yeah, anything that's gonna get me into the UFC. Once I get in, you can bet after about 4 or 5 fights, second third contract, you know who I'm going to be hunting for. It's going to be Manuel Torres.
But that is a loss that the commentators say aged well. That's definitely one that is aging well with his work in the UFC. So definitely interested to see you get that one back. Spinning off of your Contender Series time, that wasn't the first time you've fought in front of Dana or was kind of scheduled to fight in front of him. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you were actually warming up for a fight. I believe to fight in front of Dana, and you had to pull out, and you got a cancer diagnosis. Can you just kind of go, just the emotions that went through that, and how you kind of overcome life's curveballs like that, the cancer diagnosis, and you said you had the blood clot in the shoulder.
Correct. So yeah, I was gonna fight. I think his name was Laville Simpson. Had Dana White's looking for a fight, and I was kind of feeling kind of strange. My body was kind of hurting when I was at the weigh-ins, and then we went to the fight, and I was like, it's just I just had a hard cut. I don't know, whatever it is. So then I was in the back, and I got my hands wrapped, and I was trying to warm up, and I started punching, and then like my shoulder started locking up, and I couldn't punch anymore. And then I threw a kick, and I kind of like my legs were locking up, and I was like, man, this is weird. And I was in an extreme amount of pain, and it was a pain I couldn't explain. I was just sweating. All my clothes, my shorts, and everything was drenched with sweat because it was just so much pain, like pressure in my joints. And and so my coach, Coach Saul Solis, he was massaging me, and I was drinking like 3 times the amount of pre workout. I was trying to like get through it, because I knew Dana was sitting out the side. I just seen him walk in, so I was like, man, and I'm gonna absolutely steamroll leave Laville. And I was like, man, this is gonna be a great fight. I trained really hard for this fight, and then they uh, I got to a point where I couldn't even lift up my arms. I couldn't even bring my hands up, and I didn't want to pull out. So then my dad came in and he saw me and he says, nah, you're not doing this, you know. So then he said, hey, cancel it. Colton's out. He can't fight. And that was a heartbreaker for sure. And then I couldn't even walk out of the arena. My hips had gotten so like locked up. I couldn't move my legs. It felt like all my hips were going to explode. So I had my uncle and my dad were carrying me out of the arena. People were mad, calling me everything you can think of. I looked at Dana right in the eyes, and he kind of just looked at me real strange. He knew something was wrong. Dana's very smart, you know. He knew I had a lot of experience, and then I was just dropping out of a fight like seconds before the fight, and he knew something was wrong. But also we had like Pat Miletich said Colton's scared and this and that, and that was weird. Yeah, so I didn't like that comment too much, and I'm a fighter. I love to fight, and whenever he said that, it really kind of set wrong with me. And then but I went to the hospital, and they took my blood, and they said my white blood cell count was just outrageously higher than my red blood cell count, which is like, my red blood cell couldn't get to my couldn't get to my muscles, and then all my white blood cells were piling up in my major joints, my shoulders and my hips, and that's why I was feeling like that. So then they rushed me to the hospital, and they started doing a bunch of tests on me, and they found out I had leukemia. um, we went to MD Anderson, and MD Anderson put me on a trial, which is a trial that they've never done before. No one in the world has tried these drugs. They have new chemo drugs. When they gave it to me, they said, "Hey, we got these new drugs. You can try them out, and if they do great for you, awesome. But we don't know what it's going to do to you. Um, but if you don't take them, you're probably never gonna fight again. You know, you're gonna have to stay at the house. You're gonna have to be careful because you're gonna get sick really easily and things of that nature." So I was like, okay. So they said also in this trial, since you're gonna be like a test dummy, we'll give it to you for free. So I said, okay, let's do it. So then we had some discussions, my mom and my dad, and we decided to do the test. And it was like $3 million a year is this drug. Um, Ended up in like 8 weeks, beat cancer, beat leukemia. Um, my blood tests were completely clean, so it was great. They were telling me, hey, don't do anything while you're doing these drugs. Sit still. I was training full time, wrestling, grappling, sparring. I was doing it all. I was traveling. I was in Brazil and hanging out with, at that time, was my girlfriend, Hyeni. And I was hanging out with her. I would come back over here and then I'd get all the blood tests done and then I'd go back to Brazil and I was just having a blast,
Yeah.
And then so then I actually fought. I went on another fighting like a spree, and when I got the Contender Series shot, and I fought Ken Glenn, and that was in front of Dana White as well. So Dana actually got caught in traffic for that fight, and I had just beat the guy, and I was walking out of the cage, and I walked by Dana. I said, Dana, I said, you missed my fight. And he's like, oh, he's like, no way, really? I said, yeah. I said, man, what the heck, And he was like, well, what's your record now? How old are you? Blah, blah, blah. And so we kind of talked. He noted it down and then didn't see him again. And then after that fight and then the next fight, I had a Contender Series.
You're no stranger to Dana, and Dana's no stranger to you. So, I mean, you definitely have no jitters when it comes to fighting in front of him. I mean, a lot of people just now getting into the UFC definitely doesn't have that much experience fighting in front of the boss man and talking to the boss man like that. So that's always a good leg up to have. And,
yeah, very cool.
You're soon to probably be the next, MMA power couple. We'll just kind of dive into that, let you plug your wife. So I'm pretty sure she has a fight coming up if the tapology is correct.
Correct. Yep, we've been training hard. She's fighting Elise Alderline. So it's gonna be a good one. Hyeni is very, very ready. I'm excited to see her go and put in work on this chick. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. I'm pushing. I want to have us fight on the same card, May 31st. But I don't know if it's gonna happen. But that would be cool.
That would be cool, but you don't think it'd be kind of nerve-wracking for whoever goes first and second, depending on, because I mean we see siblings kind of do it. I don't know if we've ever seen husband and wife.
I don't think I've ever seen a husband and a wife fight on the same night, especially in the UFC.
Yeah.
Maybe in other promotions, maybe, but definitely not in the UFC. But like we were talking about earlier, I'm very used to fighting short notice, and the nerves really doesn't bother me too much. So I just look at fights like almost normal. I just fought main event. That main event, I've fought so many main events, it doesn't bother me too. So her fighting in front of me, of course, a little more nerve-wracking, but not that big of a deal.
With your wife being a fighter, you're a fighter. What's something that you kind of do to unwind from the fight game, since you're kind of always involved in it, or do you have anything outside of the fight game?
Yeah, we do. We love to travel. We went to Hawaii. We go to Cancun all the time. We go to Brazil. But I like to build guns. I build assault rifles. I do that during camps, and it kind of takes my mind off of the fighting. I have like a big old like a table, and I'm working on the new AR that I'm building for that camp. So every camp, I like to build a new gun, and there's little pieces, and it it's challenging, but it takes your mind completely off of all that fighting stuff.
All the guns that you build, do you keep those or do you sell them? Or, 'cause, I mean, you have a lot of fights. That's a lot of cans and a lot of gun
Yeah,
building.
yeah. I mean, some of these guns have taken 3 or 4 fights to build, but yeah, I just keep them. I keep them for myself. Me and my friends, we go hunting all the time, and we go hunt hogs.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's something I've always kind of wanted to do. I mean, I'm not even like a hunter type of person.
Yeah, it's a blast. We run them down in the woods, and then we run after the pack, then we go and we shoot them. It's scary, but it's fun. So it's a blast.
Well, I mean, you are fighters. Adrenaline things that kind of goes hand in hand. Kind of telling off of that, what's a surprising fact or something that somebody wouldn't assume about you? You know, that kind of breaks the mold of the fighter, tough guy mold.
Let me think about that one. Oh man, I'm real calm. Like my wife, she was just telling me right now. She's like, "You're the calmest person I've ever been around ever." So I'm real calm. I just like to fight. Whenever I'm a completely different person, when it's time to fight than when I'm normal. I'm sure every fighter is like that, because I hit people in the face all the time. Every day I'm hitting somebody or getting hit. So it's definitely I'm not angry ever. So, you get that out of you. You if you're training how you should be, you shouldn't be angry after training. You should be tired.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like off switch, how do you kind of, like you said, you have that switch. How's it different from hitting your friend in the face to the guy that is get you in front of your paycheck, hitting him in front of the face, I should say. How do you flip that switch?
It's a different switch. So when I'm in the gym training, I'm not trying to hurt my training partners. I'm taking care of them. I'm building on my game. I'm just sharpening my technique. I'm getting better, working on my cardio, burning calories. I'm doing a lot of other things, but whenever I fight, it's on my sole purpose there is to destroy, to take them out, to hurt them, to finish them, make it so that they can't fight no more. When I'm sparring, I'm not trying to finish. You know, I'm trying to finish somebody. I may take someone down and sub them, but I'm not gonna pound them out or elbow them in the face or kick them in the head.
And we're not sending anybody to the shadow realm in sparring,
Correct.
or at
It
least we shouldn't
happens.
be
Yeah.
intentionally.
It happens sometimes, but yeah, we definitely don't try to.
What's a food or beverage that you have to absolutely have, even during weight cuts, that you just can't deal without?
Wow. So when I'm during whole camp, I drink my coffee. Every morning I have to have coffee every morning, and then before I train at night as well. But when I get closer to the fight, I change my creamer to like a sugar free, and that kind of actually flips the switch because I get mad. You know, I get very irritated that I have to drink this junky coffee now. I'm sure I don't know if you drink coffee, but drinking sugar free creamer with your coffee is not good. It's not even worth it.
Oh, I have like not a masculine, manly coffee at all. It's like the pumpkin spice lattes, the caramel macchiatos, like nothing that resembles like a black coffee or just like an espresso or anything like that a lot of guys or people enjoy, or I think pretend to enjoy. I don't think anybody really actually enjoys it, but
No,
that's just me.
there's no way. Yeah, I don't know how you can't possibly enjoy a black coffee. I'm with the white chocolate mocha,
Yeah,
the Reese's creamer.
yeah, it makes it good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to drink something good. I'm not trying to suffer.
I know you're busy. You know you guys are always in camp. Do you have any sponsors or anybody you want to give a shout out to real quick before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I got a lot of sponsors. But kind of make it short and sweet. I got live hydration. They give me the IVs after I weigh in, which I won't be able to do when I get in the UFC or PFL. Whatever comes. Sterling Diesel Performance. They help me out big time with all of my equipment. Got Realign. He's my sports therapist. Works on my body. He's one of the best around. I've been around everywhere, and he's the best. I really have a bunch, and I Kimura Tattoos. They help me out. So I got a bunch, and I know I'm missing a bunch of them, but making it short and sweet. And Man, I really appreciate you taking your time and doing this interview for me.
Awesome. I appreciate you taking the time out, and then hopefully the training session goes good, and good luck on her next fight if we don't talk before then, and good luck on your next one.
Hey, man, thank you. Appreciate it.